Hello, welcome to this DCS A-18C tutorial. In this video we will cover the most crucial skill set required for air-to-ground bombing, and that is utilizing dumb bombs in a CCRP, continuously computed release point fashion. So to begin with, for this example, we are utilizing dumb bombs, which are not guided in any way. We are utilizing under right-click bombs, pylons with two Mark 82 500-pound bombs. These are not guided. Guided bombs can be designated by laser guided or by GPS guided. Those will be covered in a later tutorial, but they will rely heavily on the skill set developed utilizing the dumb bombs. So I put the two Mark 82s on my 8, 7, 3, and 2 pylons. Dumb bombs can also go on your center pylon number 5. If we go into air to ground mode, it will bring up our stores page, and you will see that on every pylon we have our Mark 82s, two of them, two Mark 82s on each pylon. In order to configure our weapons, similar to the harms, all of the weapons on our plane will be listed at the top row of buttons. So we will click the Mark 82. You will notice an X being crossed out on our HUD and in our helmet. This is telling us that we should not release the bomb because we are at risk of damaging our own aircraft. Go figure, because we're on the ground. On this display, you will see three options pop up on the left after we have selected our Mark 82s. The first is mode. We will click mode, and then we will click mode again for auto. Down here, under program 1, we will see mode is now auto. Auto is utilizing the CCRP, continuously computed release point functions. I will not be covering FD, flight director, or CCIP, continuously computed impact points, in this tutorial. For 99% of whatever you'll be doing, you'll be utilizing the auto CCRP mode. CCIP will put you in too much danger and is fairly inaccurate, and flight director is just generally not used. So we'll select auto. The next option is MFuse, manual fuse. We will click that, and we will see we have an option for nose. Depending on your weapon, you might have more options, but for this one, we will arm the manual nose fuse. You'll see here it says off under man fuse. We will click nose, and now it shows nose. Next is E-fuse, the electronic fuse. We will open that, and we have two options, INST for instant, or DLY1 for delay. Delay will generally be used for a hardened target, so the bomb has a split second to punch through the armor before exploding. Instant will mean it will explode immediately upon impact. For this example, we will use instant. And you can see these options populated over here. Quantity and multiple will be explained later in this video, but that is telling us that on every press of our weapon release button, we will release one bomb, the quantity of 1, with a multiple of 1. Once again, I will go into that in more detail later in this video. Now our weapons are set up. We are in auto, we have our nose fuse, and we are on instant. After you select your bombs, just go through these options and then set them. Mode auto, man fuse nose, E fuse instant. And we're all set. Alright, I will fly over to the practice area that was demonstrated in the last video. I will get into air-to-ground mode and arm my plane. You will see going from safe to arm. Our bombs are crossed out, our bombs are ready. In our HUD and in our helmet, you will see auto for the release method that we have selected. In this case, the auto mode, CCRP, continuously computed release point. CCRP means we can select our target with our targeting pod, and then we will be provided a queuing system on our HUD that we will fly. We will hold our weapon release button, and the plane will release the bomb when it calculates the time we need to release to hit our target. Keep in mind, since these are not guided bombs, the higher you are, the more inaccurate they will be. Additionally, the more drastic your flight maneuvers are, the more inaccurate they will be. Your plane needs time to calculate an impact point and a release point. So, utilizing the info from our FLIR tutorial, I'm going to find a target down here. That looks like a good target. Now, when utilizing your FLIR to target a vehicle, we want to put it right on the base, just like that. So we want to draw a imaginary horizontal line between both ends of the diamond and put it right on the base. This is because our targeting pod is not targeting the vehicle, it is targeting the ground below the vehicle. So if we had our targeting pod, I'll demonstrate this when I turn back around. If we had our targeting pod pointed on the roof of the vehicle, technically, we would be pointing at the ground behind the vehicle. So if we had our diamond up here, we'd actually be pointing at the ground behind the vehicle. That's why we put it right at the base of the wheels. And essentially put it right on the ground. So that looks good, right underneath the vehicle. I'll fly out a little bit for this example, and then come back in and demonstrate a bombing run utilizing the dumb bombs. Once again, the higher you are, the more inaccurate they will be, because they will be susceptible to wind. So for these, I tend to find I want to be flying about 10, 11,000 feet or less. You can get away with higher altitude drops. Just keep in mind you probably won't be hitting directly where you are aiming. A final check before we turn in. We can see we are 12 miles from the target. We want to verify that our INS is in IFA, covered in the startup tutorial, and we also want to verify that this altimeter switch is in radar. This will allow the bombs to be the most accurate they can be and give our plane the most authority to calculate the appropriate release point. As I turn into the target, you will now see a line on our HUD. This is the line we need to fly in order to release our weapon. So we will line up our velocity vector precisely on the center of the line. You need to be directly on it. So I'm a little to the left, little to the left, there. You need to hold it there, right on it, to the best of your abilities. I'm off to the left again. Just like that. That will allow your bomb to be accurate because it is computing the optimal place to release based on your current flight parameters. So you need to be flying consistently and smoothly. On the right-hand side of our HUD and our helmet, we will see a countdown and REL. This is the amount of seconds based on our current flight parameters until we will be releasing the weapon. When our REL release countdown is about 5 seconds, I will hold down my weapon release button, and we will see a horizontal cross start to drop along this vertical line. When the horizontal cross intersects with our velocity vector, our weapon will be released. As we're coming in, we will make one final check on our targeting pod that our diamond is where we want it to be. I'm a bit off to the left, so I moved it right. Always check when you're on your way in that the targeting pod is where you want it to be. This is because you are targeting based on your current position and angle. So if you're coming in on a different approach than you targeted the vehicle or structure, it might be off a little bit. Always verify as you're coming in that you are appropriately lined up. All right, my release countdown is starting to come to 0. So at 5, I'm going to hold my weapon release button. We see the vertical line, the horizontal, dropping. We saw a flash, that means the weapon was released. We can verify on our stores page, 1 on that pylon, so 1 was released. And we see a time to impact counter, in this case 9 seconds. So now I'm going to zoom out on my targeting pod to get a better idea of where it's going to hit. And spot on. Direct hit because I was at about 10,000 feet and I flew the line directly. I'll come back around. Actually, it was we can see it was 3 meters off to the side of the target. But because of the splash damage and that target being relatively unarmored, we were able to destroy it. The more precise you are on that line, the more you will have consistency in your results. If you're off the line even a little bit, utilizing dumb bombs, you might as well just save the bomb, come back around, and reline up. Because we saw how lined up I was. It wasn't perfectly centered, but even that little bit of deviation allowed that bomb to drift, coupled with all the wind. Alright, I'm about 7 miles from the target area. I'm going to turn back in, select a new target, and release another weapon. As you're learning, feel free to keep your speed down. This gives you more time to work in selecting targets and lining up for an approach. Alright, that looks like a good target. I'm going to put it right on the base. Utilizing the diamond in my helmet to help me know where to steer. And I'm going to fly the line to the best of my abilities. This is where a steady hand really helps. You can utilize this pitched up, pitched down, going fast or slow. You just need to make sure that you are consistent in what you are doing to give the plane time to calculate its release point. Alright, I'm hitting 5 to release. I'm going to hold my weapon release button. Alright, 1 away, and 20 seconds estimated until impact. You can see my lineup was pretty good. It's directly under the vehicle. I'm going to zoom out so I have a better idea of where it's going to hit, and adjust my contrast and brightness while I'm at it to make things easier to see. Alright, we got damaged. Wasn't perfectly on the line. We can utilize this ranging meter. Oh, probably about 5 or 6 meters off the target. I was a little higher this time, so we can see how that can attribute or lead to inaccuracies in the method. Because generally you will not be utilizing dumb bombs, but more one of the advanced guided munitions, the thing you need to take away from this tutorial is how to acquire a target, how to steadily fly the line, and what this symbology means. And also practice utilizing where to put the diamond on your targeting pod. Next, I will explain what the quantity and multiple options mean. So right now we're releasing one weapon in a multiple of one whenever we hit our weapon release button during our shoot queue up here. In order to change how many weapons we are releasing at once, we will click the UFC option, and on our UFC we now see quantity and multiple. If we wanted to release 2 bombs at once, we could press quantity 2, multiple 2, and that will release 2 bombs at the same exact time. If we wanted to release 2 bombs with an interval between them, we could have quantity 2, multiple of 1. And now you will see that we are dropping 2 bombs, one at a time, the multiple of 1, and we have a new option, interval. This interval is how many feet of spacing we want between the bombs. So if I drop the first bomb and wanted the second bomb to be dropped, have an impact point 10 feet away from the first, I would hit interval, 10, enter. Now we see quantity 2, one at a time, 10 feet between them. Let's go ahead and turn around and I'll demonstrate this now. I'll also drop my altitude to allow the bombs to be a bit more accurate. A little high at 14,000. Utilizing the diamond in the line in my helmet to turn into my target. And I'm going to go ahead and try and finish off that damaged target from the last run. Once again, these techniques are critical to utilizing the other weapons, so make sure you do not progress beyond dumb bombs until you are at least able to consistently damage targets. Flying the line, waiting on my release. When I get closer, I'm going to verify that I'm still on my target. You can see I'm drifted off a little bit, so I'm going to correct. This is because of the different incoming angle. And as I get closer, I will continuously correct my diamond to make sure it is where I want it to be. But that looks fairly decent. Small movements on your TDC are all you need. I'll get back on the line. Verify. Looking good. Going to hold my weapon release at 5. And I've released both weapons, verified by my stores page. And I'm going to zoom out to see how they hit. So we can see flying overhead, my diamond was a little off, but Hopefully that will be able to damage the target. Yep, spot on. One hit here, and the next hit up because of our interval. I'll demonstrate that one more time utilizing the last 4 bombs we have. So I'll go UFC, quantity 4, because I want to drop 4 bombs, multiple of 2, I want to drop 2 at once, and I'll put an interval of 5 feet. So I want 5 feet between the releases. This technique is utilized on all unguided bombs. Cluster bombs, regular warheads like these, if they're unguided, they will utilize this kind of technique. All right, as I'm flying in, I'm going to search for a target. That looks good. Put it right at the base. And then fly the line. Once again, you can be pitched down, you can be pitched up, just as long as you're flying consistently. But as you're learning, it's a good idea just to remain level, so it's easiest to account for all of the variables during this bombing. Weapon release. And all of our weapons have been released. Once again, we can see as we get closer a diamond placement. And I'm going to zoom out to see where those bombs impact. About 5 to impact. Spot on. That covers utilizing the unguided munitions, the dumb bombs. Keep at this until you're able to consistently hit or at least damage your target before proceeding onto the guided munitions, as these techniques and this skill set is critical, especially the placement of the diamond on your targeting pod. Without being proficient in these skills, even utilizing guided munitions will not produce kills. If you have mastered these skills, utilizing guided munitions will be probably one of the easiest things in the world, but you need this skill set. Thanks for watching.